Welcome to the Wallingford Sports Show, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, Jack Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Madison County FarmersMarket.com, and Madison County SchoolSports.com. Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.
I am Michael Watkins along with Hugh Davis. We're coming at you live from Buffalo Wild Wings in the Richmond Center. And Hugh Davis, a jam-packed show. We're going to have the head EKU baseball coach Edwin Thompson come over in our third segment. We'll have the Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week in our final segment. And we'll let you know what games we're going to have on the air coming on later this week. And we'll let you know about that later on in the show as well. What a day in sports. We've had injury news. Of course, Steph Curry, the obvious MVP from this past season, going to be out a couple of weeks. We'll talk more about that coming up later on. But, Hugh, it is a sad, sad day. There is no injustice in the world as Thomas Brady, my favorite NFL player, my man crush, is going to have to face the 4-game suspension. It was kind of put on the back burner for this past season. He played all year long. We lost to the Broncos in the conference finals, and now the 4-game suspension upheld by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I didn't real. I saw a bleep about it, and then you kind of, and then I followed up on it.
Yeah, I've cried pretty much all day long. It's been a rough day. They almost had to send me home from work. I was so devastated.
I guess after I heard about that, I was just wondering. I guess I didn't realize that each team furnishes their own balls for offense.
Yeah.
I guess, well, I can kind of understand sometimes when that weather was like that, you needed it less air.
Yeah.
Less air to get a better grip. So I can kind of.
Well, it was a crazy. I mean, it was a game in which the Colts were not even close to being in.
Yeah.
They were not even close to being in. And then you see what happens, that they won by like 30-something points. It was a blowout. Then that happens, the Deflategate scandal. We go on to win the Super Bowl, but then, a year and a half later, we're still hearing about this and having to deal with it. We lost a first-round pick this year that we really could have used, and now our best player, the number 1 quarterback in the entire world, in my opinion, is not going to have to face a 4-game suspension. The good news is it's 4 games in which they can still win. Now, the first game of the year is going to be a little tougher. The Patriots will have to play the Arizona Cardinals, but it's again they've got some division games. We can definitely survive without Tom Brady in those first few games, but it's tough whenever you see a guy like that who is so good and having to go against something that that happened a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago, that he's going to have to deal with those first 4 games.
But it's the legal system in the NFL and any sports anymore, just one thing or another sometimes. I mean, with baseball and the steroids and stuff,
yeah.
PEDs, etc., or HGHs or whatever anymore, it just changes their minds sometimes on what's legal, what's not legal, and stuff. But
the Patriots' schedule breaks down like this: they'll have the Cardinals in Week 1, the Dolphins, Texans, and Bills. Those will be the first 4 games that Brady will miss. And, other than the Cardinals, I feel like those other 3 games are definitely winnable. Jimmy Garoppolo will be the backup quarterback. He'll step into the starting role, so we're going to have to rely on him. And maybe that run game and a defense that we think, I think, we've definitely improved in the offseason. So we're going to have to rely on that. Now, he'll come back. His first game will be against the Browns. We'll have the Bengals and the Steelers and the Seahawks. So you look at the schedule, it's not a very difficult schedule, if you ask me, for the Patriots. Not an easy one by any means, because it's any given Sunday in the NFL, anybody can win.
Oh, yeah.
But those first 4 games, if we can go 2-2, 3-1 would be, beautiful. It would be perfect for us. But if we could at least go 2-2 in those first 4 games and just kind of hold down the fort till Brady gets back. The good news, if you're a Pats fan, is anytime Tom Brady has had something kind of like this in his career, he has come back with a vengeance. And I'm hoping that is what happens this year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even last year when he finally got cleared to play, his first few games were really good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he came out firing on all cylinders. Some injuries toward the end of the year definitely hurt the team. But some other big news in the NFL this week is Josh Norman. The number 1 cornerback in some people's minds last year. He was a young man that was hit with the franchise tag for the Carolina Panthers. Other than Cam Newton, he was probably their most important player last year. He shut down the number one wide receiver on a lot of teams, and the Panthers franchise tagged him. And a lot of was going on behind the scenes. The Panthers were trying to re-sign him. He wanted more money. So what happened was the Panthers said, we're not going to give you that money. They let him go. He signs with the Washington Redskins. And obviously, if you're a big NFL fan, last year between Josh Norman and Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver for the New York Giants, those two guys do not like each other. And they got into it big time whenever they played each other last year. So now he goes to the Washington Redskins. He will play Odell Beckham Jr. twice every single year. A 5-year deal, a lot of money. I don't even want to talk about the dollar signs that are going to be on Josh Norman's checks every week when he gets paid,
or a month or whatever.
Exactly, whatever it is they get paid. But yeah, he's got some big money coming his way. And Josh Norman now a Washington Redskin. You think about the defenses in the NFL. If you've got a shutdown corner, that really helps out your defense because there are a lot of really good wide receivers in the NFL. And you just put him on a team that had a good offense last year. Their defense was kind of suspect. The Redskins could make some noise this year.
Yeah. And anymore, it is a passing game in any football, whether it's college or pro or even high school anymore. It's more. Most teams are more the passing. So if you can shut down the passing game with a defensive back, there you go.
Yeah. Now the question is, where do the Panthers turn now that Josh Norman has went elsewhere? Other big news in the NFL: the Philadelphia Eagles trade up for the number 2 overall pick. They make, and this is the first time I think in 60-something years that the Cleveland Browns have done something good in the NFL. They make a good trade. They get all kinds of picks. It's a head scratcher for the Eagles because there's not really a big name quarterback in this NFL draft, and the Eagles trade like 5 or 6 picks to get the number 2 overall pick, and a quarterback is on their mind. So you think now, what do the Eagles do from here? Sam Bradford, a guy they signed to a lot of money this offseason, is now saying that he wants to be traded. He will not do any of the off-season programs. He will not join any of the off-season workouts. So now what do the Eagles do? Was looking up some stuff on him. There was one team that could probably be interested in him, and that's the Denver Broncos, the defending champions. Peyton Manning retires. Brock Osweiler signs with the Houston Texans. They signed Mark Sanchez, but what are you going to get from Mark Sanchez?
It'd be 2 ex-Eagles, too,
exactly.
Unfortunately.
It would be Sam Bradford, and then Mark Sanchez backed him up last year. So that would be interesting to see if that happens. I feel like Bradford could definitely help the Broncos. He's got a big arm, and they've got some really 2 good wide receivers in Thomas and Sanders.
Is it Sanchez and Bradford, though, that have had health issues
Sanchez not as much. Bradford for sure. He was the number 1 overall pick by the Rams a few years ago, and he has struggled with injuries every single year.
So
last year he played the entire season until the last 3 or 4 games, and then he got hurt and didn't come back. But Sanchez played well. But, I don't think for any franchise you want to put all your keys in the Mark Sanchez vehicle.
Right.
So we'll see what happens in the NFL. Lots of big news in the NFL draft coming up this week. There are potentially 4 Eastern Kentucky Colonels that could be drafted this upcoming weekend. Thursday night will be the first round. We're most likely going to see Noah Spence's name, but I've seen that his name has kind of fallen down the mock drafts. So we'll see where he ends up going. But potentially 4 EKU Colonels could have their name called this weekend. We'll talk more about that next week once we find out where those guys go. For Hugh Davis, I'm Michael Watkins. We'll step aside here in just a moment. We want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. And, we want to say thanks to Buffalo Wild Wings for allowing us to come out here and kind of junk up their patio for an hour or so and get everything lined up for the show. I want to say thank you to MadisonCountyFarmersMarket.com, Jack Burford Chevrolet, MadisonCountySchoolSports.com, ExpressRoofing.net, and the folks at Solo Diamond Sports Academy. Guys, hang on. Here in just a minute, we will crown our Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week right here on the Wallingford Sports Show. Back in a moment on 1340 WEKY and on 1550 WIRV.
Welcome to the Wallingford Sports Show, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, Jack Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Madison County FarmersMarket.com, and MadisonCountySchoolSports.com. Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.
Man of the Wallingford Sports Show. I am Michael Watkins along with Hugh Davis. Guys, coming up in our next segment, we'll have EKU baseball coach Edwin Thompson joining us. He'll talk about the EKU baseball program. But first, Hugh, some big news in the NBA today as Steph Curry sidelined for 2 weeks at minimum, possibly more. And the NBA rumblings going around a guy that has had a lot of ankle injuries over the years, the reason why he's the 5th highest paid player on his team. And now this injury creeps up at a time when the Warriors were almost a sure lock to win the NBA championship.
Yeah, that was the knee they just said.
It was a sprained MCL. He's at least to miss 2 weeks, possibly more. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
And what supposedly slipped on some water right
there was a guy
half.
that slipped down right in front of him, and then Curry slipped down after him, and it kind of just twisted his knee a little bit, hit his knee on the court as he came down. So it was a kind of a freak accident, and a guy that is obviously going to be the MVP for the 2nd straight year, a guy that led his team to the most victories in NBA history in a single season, and a guy who has lit up the world in basketball. He has just been unbelievable this year. It's sad to see him go down because it would have been awesome to see them cap off this season with the championship. And not to say it still can't be done. They have a lot surrounding Steph Curry. But hopefully he can get back after this 2 weeks is over, because the Los Angeles Clippers just got back their best player. You know, like Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, the big three for Los Angeles, they're tough to beat. So now you take them, if they can get past Portland, which that presumably is going to happen, but if the Clippers can get past Portland, they're going to be tough to beat without Steph Curry for the Golden State Warriors.
And of course, San Antonio and Cleveland, probably two of the top contenders, won 4-0. So they're going to be rested
a little bit. And the good news, or looking at some more news today, the Spurs are now favored by Vegas to win the NBA championship after the Curry injury. So now Vegas even believes that the Spurs are the team to beat with Steph Curry out with that injury. Other news in the NBA today, the Lakers have fired Byron Scott after the worst season in franchise history. And not a big shock here. It's kind of seemed like the Lakers brought him in as to kind of wish Kobe Bryant goodwill in his future endeavors. And him and Kobe Bryant were close friends. They had played together in Kobe's first few years in the NBA. So not a big surprise that he is out. The Lakers were abysmal this year, and that's kind of putting it, taking it lightly. They had a bad year.
Only team worse was Philadelphia?
Philadelphia was the only team worse, and then the Brooklyn Nets were kind of around the same record. But you look at it in this way. Kobe Bryant gone. The Lakers have a lot of young talent: D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, and potentially a top 3 or 4 pick this year. Now, I believe if their pick is not 3, 2, or 1, that it goes to the 76ers. So the Sixers could potentially have 2 top 5 picks. But if they do land the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd pick, the Lakers would have even more young talent to potentially build on that young core with. So it's a pretty good job for a coach that, if they give him some time, can help rebuild the Lakers franchise, and potentially a lot of money to dish out too, because Kobe Bryant was making $20+ million a year.
Right.
That's now off the books. And you've got guys like Roy Hibbert, who was making like $13 million a year. He's gone. So not only do you have a lot of money to play with, but you've also got some young guys to build around as well. The Lakers could make some noise in a couple of years if they get the right fit in that system.
Yeah. Switching back to the playoffs a minute, I see your Celtics are in
what a game yesterday.
Dog fight with 2-2 with Atlanta, and then Toronto and Indianapolis are 2-2.
That's surprising to me. The Pacers were a team that kind of just barely squeaked into the playoffs, and the Toronto Raptors were the 2nd best team in the Eastern Conference all year, and many people thought that if anybody could give the Cavs a run for their money, it was that Raptors team. And they come out and they lay an egg in Game 1, they get beat, and then in Game 4 they lay an egg as well, and the series is now tied 2-2 going back to Toronto. There are 3 games tonight in the NBA. Miami will be at Charlotte. Miami leads that series 2-1.
Right.
At 8 o'clock tonight, the Dallas Mavericks will take on OKC. OKC leads that series 3-1. And then the Trailblazers and the Clippers play at 10:30 tonight. Those last 2 games on TNT.
And the Clippers are up 2-1.
Clippers are up 2-1. And I would be shocked if the Thunder don't go ahead and put away the Mavericks. I look for Dallas to kind of put up a good game, but Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Enes Kanter, a guy that has played unbelievable in this playoff series, stepping up big for the Thunder, and I'll look for them to go ahead and just put the Mavericks out of their misery. Some news for one of those games tonight. The Hornets will be without Nicholas Batum, a guy who has really been their saving grace all year long, a guy who was traded to them by the Portland Trail Blazers, had a tremendous season, a really good defender, can shoot the ball well. They're going to be without his services tonight, so we'll see if somebody steps up for the Hornets in the absence of Nicholas Batum, the starting small forward. And Miami, they kind of laid an egg. They got beat by almost 20 points, maybe more than that, the last game these two teams played. So I look for Miami to come out and play a better game tonight. I think Miami, OKC, and the Clippers all come out and get a win tonight and kind of just solidify who the best team is in that series. Obviously, the Clippers and the Heat would go up 3-1, and OKC would go ahead and advance to the next round
against San
Antonio. Yeah, that series, to me, if Steph Curry is out for longer than those 2 weeks, I look for whoever wins the Thunder-Spurs series to win the championship. Because I don't see the Warriors, if they were to get past the Clippers, whoever wins the Spurs-Thunder series would be just too much for Golden State to handle.
Of course, I don't know if we mentioned it, Golden State's up 3-1 on Houston.
Golden State is up 3-1. And, they won Game 2 without Steph Curry at home, and they won Game 4 by hitting 21 three-pointers, an NBA record, and Curry only played the first half. So they are a good team. They have a lot of talent around them, but without their best player, you got to wonder, when a guy like that goes down, it kind of just deflates your team and makes it a little tougher for you to come back from an injury like that. Steve Kerr is a heck of a coach, but I don't even know if he and this team can overcome the loss of their best player.
Of course, as you said, if you can get somebody to step up and pick up some of the load, or maybe two people to share it somehow, they can still do well.
Well, one thing that the Warriors have going for them is they are a very deep team. On the bench, you've got guys like Sean Livingston, who is a tremendous player. Injuries have plagued him his whole career, but he has had a really good run the last 3 or 4 years with Golden State, and before that in the Brooklyn Nets. You've also got guys like Leandro Barbosa, a veteran who can fill it up when he gets going. And then Andre Iguodala, a guy who would start for probably the other 29 teams in the NBA. He's coming off the bench for Golden State, and he really is the key to that second unit, but you can put him in the starting lineup, and he's just as good. So, they've definitely got the depth to overcome an injury like Steph Curry. But when you're playing the big dogs in the Western Conference, it is so tough. When you've got the Clippers, who are up there and really good, the Thunder in San Antonio are title contenders every year. It's hard to beat them when you don't have your big dogs at full strength.
Right.
But some more news in the NBA. The Grizzlies, Mike Conley, come out and say that if he is to stay this offseason, he is going to be a free agent. The Grizzlies need to make some more moves. And Kevin McHale, a candidate for the Kings vacancy, would be interested to see how he would do with a team like the Sacramento Kings and a guy like DeMarcus Cousins. He done really good with the young guys he had in Minnesota. He did really well with Dwight Howard when he had him in Houston. So it would be nice to see him, what he could do with DeMarcus Cousins. But again, the big news in the NBA, Steph Curry out 2 weeks with a sprained MCL, possibly more. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And by the time that 2 weeks comes up, they could be, 3, potentially 4 games into a series with the Los Angeles Clippers. So nobody really knows where they will be at that time. But need to get Steph Curry back, and I wish him well. He's a guy that seemed like everybody loves. He's a good kid, a tremendous NBA player. So we'd like to see him get back up there on the court. It's now time for our second break. When we come back from the break, we'll have the head baseball coach for the EKU Colonels, Edwin Thompson, will join us to talk about the team this year. Back in a moment on the Wallingford Sports Show here on 1340 WEKY and on 1550 WIRV.
Welcome to the Wallingford Sports Show, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, Jag Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Madison County FarmersMarket.com, and Madison County SchoolSports.com. Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.
Welcome back into the Wallingford Sports Show as the sun creeps down on us a little bit. Hugh Davis, we're glad to have you tuned in. Do want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. I want to say thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings for allowing us to kind of junk up their patio for a bit while we were on the air, Hugh. So thanks to Madison County FarmersMarket.com, to Jag Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, and Solo Diamond Sports Academy. And I also want to say thank you to Madison County SchoolSports.com. Guys, in our final break, we will crown our Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week. But first, we are pleased to have with us the head baseball coach for the Colonels, Edwin Thompson. And, Coach, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Look forward to talking a little bit about Colonel baseball and just kind of catching up on last time we talked.
Yeah, now this past weekend, a tough weekend for you guys. Played Austin Peay, a very tough conference opponent. Just talk about the weekend series and talk about the OVC as a whole. As far as the playoffs coming up down the line and what you guys need to do to kind of get back on the winning side of things.
Well, the biggest thing was just we lost a couple injuries this weekend, so we were kind of going down there a little bit undermanned, so to speak. But they're a good team. Austin Peay, they can really swing the bat. Friday night we just couldn't get things rolling offensively, and then on Saturday we out-hit them. We lost 4-3. It's baseball. Kind of lost one of those games, and then on Sunday it was a close game up until about the 6th inning. Again, just couldn't punch something across, and they had a big inning, and that was kind of the tale so far. But overall in the conference, up in that, we won 3 out of 4 conference series. So in the first 2 weekends, we lost 5 games by 2 or 3 runs. So we're right there really competing. Right now we're in 8th place, so we have 4 conference weekends left, starting on Friday night here at home against Eastern Illinois, and right now they're in last place, so hopefully we can kind of win a series and get on a winning track going to next week to Jacksonville State. But right now, the way it sits, Murray State's ahead of us, Tennessee Tech's ahead of us, and we have both those teams on our schedule. So if we can kind of handle business, I think we can get into that 6th playoff spot because only 6 teams make it for baseball, so that's kind of a little bit unique.
It's only 6 this year instead of 7?
It's always been 6,
or
yeah.
8.
Mm-hmm, yeah, so that's kind of the one thing. So hopefully we can just handle ourselves. We have 2 at home, 2 on the road, and we already beat Moorhead 2 out of 3, so that's always good, and they're ahead of us as well. So as long as we kind of take care of business, we'll be where we want to be at the end.
Now, does the OVC go by series wins, or does it go by total wins overall, conference wins? How does that work?
Yeah, just conference wins, and everybody plays. All 10 teams play each other, 11 teams. So we have 10 conference weekends, and then just a matter of overall record, and then it's head-to-head. So like us, if we ever have a tie with Moorhead, we have the edge because we beat them 2 out of 3.
Okay.
So that's what it comes down to.
Now, you talked about some of the injuries you guys sustained before this weekend or this weekend. Can you talk about the guys that you lost and how you're going to try and replace them heading into the latter part of the year?
Yeah, well, we've had our shortstop's been out. Doug Teagarden, who's a 4-year starter, been out leadoff man, leading the country in walks at 23 games. And
wow.
He got hurt. Then our center fielder, Danny McFarland, sophomore out of Male High School in Louisville, he went down about 4 games after that. So then this past weekend, Hunter Dunn, our Sunday starter, was injured, so he'll miss a couple starts. So, guys have to step up, and we had some guys kind of do well. Taylor Blair and Dakota Graham, some guys that have kind of, weren't playing, got an opportunity to play, and so we're just kind of piecing it together, so to speak. But I think hopefully we got to at least now that we know Hunter will be out this weekend, we'll have our rotation set coming in starting with going this weekend.
Hugh, you got anything for Coach?
What about your first baseman?
Yeah.
Ben
Fisher, local guy, Madison Central. Just really been steady, hitting around 400 the second half of the year. Really
That's decent.
He started off a little bit slow, kind of figured out. Now he's had a really good routine offensively. He's being more disciplined. He's getting older. He's playing a lot more daily, and he's just getting more confidence as it goes. Hit a home run on Friday night, and he's a good, steady player. Defensively, he's one of the best in the league. He's up around 280 overall, his average, 6 home runs, and he's playing, overall just every day for us. That's another thing. We don't have much depth, so he's the only first baseman we have. But he's obviously doing a great job for us, and it's good to have a guy locally like that have success.
Right. And I guess your other 2 top hitters in Mandy Alvarez and Kyle Nolan.
Yeah, Kyle led the country in home runs last year, got drafted, came back to school for his senior year. Still, hitting right around 300, like 3rd in the country in home runs at 15. So he's, players like that don't always come around that often, and he's really special. And just Manny Alvarez is having an unbelievable year. I can't hitting around 370, 7th in the country in hits right now. And arguably the best third baseman in our conference, and really has stand out no matter who we play. He's gotten hits, and we have 2 seniors leading us. That's what we were looking for. Just hopefully some other guys can kind of step up around that.
And then I guess we touched briefly before we on the air with your two other starters, Alex Hamilton and Eric Nurl.
Yeah, both guys that Eric Nurl had been injured a lot of his career before this year, and has done a really great job on Friday nights for us. And I think we've won 6 out of the 9 times he started on Friday night, so we've had success. And with him, and then Alex has been the one veteran that we had returning because we lost 250 innings of last year, and a lot of them are on the weekend. So we're very young. We're very unproven, so to speak, with our pitching staff, and they've kind of battled for us, but Alex has been really steady for us. Every time we give him the chance to give him the ball, he's kind of given us a good outing. So that's been, overall the best consistency out of our staff so far, those two.
Alex is a guy that I covered since he was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. He actually grew up with my little brother. They played basketball together. So I know Alex very well. He's been a unbelievable starting pitcher since going back when I covered him when he was in middle school, and just obviously gotten better every year. Talk about your recruiting as far as, do you focus on one certain area to recruit, or do you try to stay in the state of Kentucky? Or as far as recruiting goes, talk about that for a minute.
Well, I got hired in July, for those that don't know, so it was kind of a scramble. Hired a staff in August. We started in September fall practice, so really didn't get a chance to recruit as much as we'd like to, like we normally would in the summertime, because they're just kind of by myself. So I was in Georgia for the last 3 years, so we've actually signed 9 kids from Georgia that are coming here next fall, and we have a total of 14 so far signed for next year's coming in class. So we have guys locally that we have in Lexington. We're looking at some guys here locally in Madison County as well. But the bottom line is if they're a good person, they have good character. They're able to compete at a high level, obviously at Division I level, and academically they want to have the challenges of being a good student. So, we've gone all over across the country. We have a guy coming in from Washington. We have a guy from Canada. Like I said, 2 guys from Florida, 9 guys from Georgia, 3 or 4 from Kentucky. So it's really open just to finding players that, a mixture of some high school kids with some junior college players, and we actually have 5 kids that played in the SEC or the ACC that went to junior college, and now they're coming back to us to kind of help us out. So I think that's going to help us out, just give us more depth.
Got a couple more questions for you. First of all, you got a big win earlier this year over Mississippi State. Talk about that, and how did it help your program, especially being at your first year at the school?
Yeah, I think anytime you beat a team that's top 15 in the country, SEC team in front of 7,000 people, we're not supposed to do that on an daily basis. But like I tell my players, it's never who's the best team, who plays the best. And we played better than them that night. We wanted it more. Down the stretch, we're down 8 runs in this 8th inning, or 6 runs in the 8th inning with 2 outs, and found a way to win. And it was great for us. It was great for our kids. It was great for recruiting. I think it just kind of the players, if they didn't buy into kind of our system at that point, all the things we were doing defensively and offensively, that was a moment for us to kind of say, okay, we can play with anybody as long as we play good baseball. And I think that was just an amazing opportunity, and our guys remember that the rest of their lives. And I think that's something that you can always put your hat on that, and hopefully that's not our only win for the year as far as what we want. Obviously we want to be in the playoffs, but as far as just an overall, just from first year to have that type of victory is really special, and our guys deserve that because they earned it.
Now, the last time you and I talked was a couple of weeks ago whenever we were doing the model game on the air. You're talking about a new facility coming into play. Is that still something you guys are talking about?
Yeah, those are things, the details will be coming out soon. I think, once everything can kind of finalize, but the plan is to break ground on it at some point this summer and be ready for next season. So those will be details to kind of follow, but I can't really talk too much about it, but obviously, but I think it's definitely going to help us and be great for the community. And really just help us out recruiting-wise, to have a facility, which we have a great facility to begin with, just to kind of enhance what we already have. And that's kind of with some stands and some concessions and things of that nature to kind of give us a better look when people come on campus.
We'll have to get you back over here when all that stuff comes to details.
Absolutely.
And we'll get all the word out for you. Now, before we get you out of here, just want you real quick, you've got a home game this weekend. Just tell everybody to come out and watch you guys. Get out and support the Colonels this year, and a couple more games or a couple more series left before you guys head over to the playoffs, hopefully.
Yeah, I think our marketing department, our program has done a great job of getting people out on Friday nights. And all our games this weekend is we have a 7 o'clock game on Friday night. It's an alumni weekend. We actually have a golf outing on Friday morning over this weekend, so a lot of alums will be back in town. And then Saturday we have a 7 o'clock game as well, and then 1 o'clock on Sunday, which is, for all Richmond Little League and all Little Leaguers, it's all Kids Day at the park. Friday night we kind of try to tailor to our students, as well as just getting the community out on Saturday. So then we go to Jacksonville State the following week, and then we're back home for our last home weekend against Murray State, which always has good rivalry. And we've already beaten Moorhead, so we got to beat Murray to kind of take care of Kentucky in our state. So that's our goal, and hopefully get ourselves in the playoffs, which is ultimately what we're looking to do. You
got a big game tomorrow night too, I see.
Well, yeah, we can't pass that. We're playing University of Tennessee, and we still have University of Kentucky left on our schedule. So that's going to be a chance to go to Knoxville, and they're coming off a big win against beating Vanderbilt 2 out of 3. So it's kind of like we beat Mississippi State, and then they went to beat Vanderbilt, and now we're playing Tennessee after they beat Vanderbilt. So it's kind of like maybe we'll catch them sleeping, but I think as long as we go out and play good baseball and compete, I think we'll have a chance. And then it's a matter of where the ball bounces a little bit.
Well, good luck, Coach. And like I said, we'll hopefully get you back over here and talk some playoffs in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks for all the fans and all the local support coming out Friday night and to come out to watch us play.
Yes, sir. Good luck, and get out and support the Colonels, guys. Coming up after our next break, we will talk about some local sports, some high school sports, and some golf, EKU golf as well. And we'll also crown our Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week. Back in a moment on the Wallingford Sports Show on 1340 WEKY and on 1550 WIRV.
Welcome to the Wallingford Sports Show, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, Jack Burford Chevrolet, ExpressRoofing.net, Madison County FarmersMarket.com, and Madison County SchoolSports.com. Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.
Welcome back into the Wallingford Sports Show. Coming at you live from Buffalo Wild Wings in the Richmond Center, Hugh Davis. A lot to talk about in our final break. First, we want to say congratulations to the EKU women's golf team. They are now the 16th seed in the Shoal Creek region to be played in Shoal Creek, Alabama, the OVC champs.
They won last weekend by 18 shots. And
Wow.
ironically, I think it might have been at the Shoal Creek course the regionals at. And then actually starting today, I believe, the men are set to defend their OVC title at the Shoals on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail in Muscle Shoals.
So a lot to be proud of if you're an AKU golf fan. The women OVC champs and the men a chance to repeat as OVC champs. It's hard to repeat in anything, so if you can do that, it'll be a big honor for those young men playing golf for the EKU Colonels.
Right. Of course, it's old hat for men's and women cross country with Coach Rick Erdman, but
yeah, well,
but
EKU
that's one sport that
says EKU Athletics won a league-high 5 Ohio Valley Conference titles in 2014 and 15 in men's cross country, women's cross country, men's tennis, women's golf, and men's golf, and just looking to do it again this year.
And the men's actually lost in the championship, OVC championship, on Sunday also, and they lost 4-3 in the championship. So
we also want to get the word out about the inaugural Colonel's Choice Awards, Hugh Davis. They will be held on Sunday, May the 1st, which is this Sunday coming up at the EKU Center for the Arts. A reception will be held in the lobby at 6 p.m., followed by a ceremony in the auditorium at 7:15 p.m. And the Colonel's Choice Awards will recognize academic achievements and athletic performances by EKU student athletes during the 2015-16 season. And attire for the event is business casual. If you want more information, you can check the website. Or if you want to buy a ticket, its general admission is $25. For EKU students and employees, it's $15. And EKU athletics employees can pick up complimentary tickets at the EKU ticket office.
A lot of that was supposed to have been done before April 22nd, but I'd say there might still be some available if you call the ticket office at 622-2122.
And a big week coming up for us this week as we get set for some local high school sports. We do want to congratulate the Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week. Solo Diamond Sports Academy over there on North Keeneland Drive. Let Brian and Ken help you out. Two guys that know a lot about baseball and softball. They can help you with hitting, with pitching, anything that you want to do to get better at your sport. Head on over to Solo Diamond Sports Academy. And our Solo Diamond Sports Academy Players of the Week this week, Joe Holbrook is the Player of the Week for the baseball side. He plays for Madison Central. He threw 6 2/3 scoreless innings against St. X on Saturday. And St. X is a really good baseball team, and he threw 6 2/3 scoreless innings. They ended up losing that game in 9 innings. I don't think anybody scored until the 9th inning. It was a really good game, and Joe Holbrook, a tremendous performance for the Indians. And for the Madison Central softball team, Sydney Vaughn is our Player of the Week for Madison Central. She had 2 home runs this week in a game against South Laurel. A really good game for Sydney Vaughn, the shortstop for Madison Central. A great game for her, and she is our Solo Diamond Sports Academy Player of the Week on the softball side, Hugh.
Madison Central baseball 16-3 now, so they're kind of tops in the region. Although Scott County is closing in at 16-4, and then the Madison Central Indian softball 11-5, kind of in the middle of the pack in the region. Although top upper third of the region. Scott County is still running away with the region right now at 18-2.
Well, the game we've got coming up this week, we're potentially going to have one tomorrow. I think the rain is going to cancel that. Hopefully we can get the one in on Wednesday. On Wednesday we'll have Estill County and Powell County, a big matchup. Those two teams always tops in the 56th district, and that game will be on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. We were going to try to do the Estill County model game tomorrow. If it does not get rained out, if we can get that worked out, we'll have that one on the air for you as well. Do want to make note that following us tonight, the Cincinnati Reds will be right here on WEKY as they take on, well, I forgot who they're playing, but they have a game tonight following us tonight on the air as well. So the Reds will be following us. As soon as we are done, we will join the Reds broadcast and get the Cincinnati Reds broadcast on the air for you.
Mets?
The Mets, yeah, I think that's who they're playing is the Mets. So the Reds will be playing the Mets following us. So stay tuned for that as well. And all kinds of sports on the Wallingford stations, Hugh.
Right. You were Coach Thompson was saying that they're at home this weekend. So is baseball, or so is softball. Softball has number one Jacksonville State in town for 3 games also. So it's another big weekend in Richmond for EKU sports.
Yeah, and we talked to Mark Elder a couple of weeks ago, the new head football coach. Seems like the EKU sports programs are all heading in the right direction. Basketball got a new head coach. It was his first year this past year. Now the new baseball coach, the new basketball coach. It just seems like everything is going in the right direction for Colonel Sports, and we're all excited about it. And again, if you see Mark Elder out in public, don't even say EKU football to him, because that man will get you excited. He might get you so excited you want to put pads on and hit somebody right there. He is pumped about EKU football, and rightfully so. We talked about the Colonels had a good year last year. And potentially 4 Colonels could go in the draft. Come back to the show next week. We'll kind of let you know how the draft turns out. But a lot going on for EKU sports, and we're excited about the upcoming seasons for football, and then basketball will follow, and then baseball will right around the corner from that as well.
It never stops. It just switches from one sport to another.
Yeah, and it's for you especially. You're a busy man here in sports. Now, you do stats for, I know, football. You do stats for basketball as well, and then softball. So your season never ends.
Right, and that besides Eastern, there's a lot of high school or even younger. So yeah, there's about 4 weeks before high school football that I'm not doing it. But that's
now. Is that your off season? Do you train? Do you get your fingers ready to type? For that?
That's when we're getting ready to start EKU academically.
Okay.
So the office stays busy that 4 weeks.
So Hugh Davis he's always a busy man. So if you ever see Hugh out and you've got a stat question for him, I bet he could probably 90% of what you ask him, if it's a question involving a stat that he has done before, he can let you know about what's going on. But we're excited about all EKU athletics, and we're excited about carrying the Reds game following us. So guys, just hang on here in just a moment. We'll get you over the Cincinnati Reds baseball broadcast. Again, Wednesday night, if the rain does not cancel it, we'll have Powell County, Estill County softball for you. Potentially tomorrow, if we can get everything lined out, we'll have Estill County softball versus model as well. For Hugh Davis, I'm Michael Watkins. I want to say thanks to MadisonCountySchoolSports.com and all of our sponsors for helping us get you on the air. We'll see you next week on the Wallingford Sports Show right here on 1340 WEKY and on 1550 WIRV.